Tuesday. I hope that you have had a wonderful day. I know mine got to start really early on coaching calls. I'm pushing everything together because we take off tomorrow for our son's wedding.
Oh,
So
congrats.
thank you. Our oldest gets married on Friday, and by God's grace, he has a wonderful, awesome, terrific gal that he has selected to be his one and only forever. And they're just the sweetest couple in the
Awesome.
whole wide world. It's fun to see when you do it God's way, how just like, wow, they can hardly wait to be together and to have, continue their lives. They're not starting their lives, but
Sure.
continuing their lives together. So for those of you who don't know this guy, you're missing out. This is Dr. Tabor Smith. Dr. Tabor and I go back over 8 years. It's been so fun to
Yep.
watch this young, passionate, talented, loving, godly man develop into a leader in our profession and to be an incredible husband and father to 3 boys, as well, to just serve so powerfully in his community and worldwide. So Tabor, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's always an honor. I love hanging out with you. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tabor is the coach of week 5 in the 56-day chiropractic boot camp to double your business. He is definitely the spinal screening guru and spinal hygiene. I remember 10 years ago. Yeah, I guess almost 10 years ago, when Tabor and I were doing personal coaching together, and he told me, you know what? I want spinal hygiene to be like dental hygiene. And this man has not stopped on that mission. And I believe that he will see it through.
That's
So
right.
congratulations to you for your tenacity,
Thank
and for all of us who, when you join us, let us know where you're joining from as well. Just, how about give a shout out as to why you're thankful this Tuesday? Thankful Tuesday. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? One of the greatest success principles is gratitude. And hey, Dr. Amanda, there's someone I'm extremely thankful for. Dr. Amanda Appleblatt, up in Michigan, Chiropractor of the Year for 2018
Wow.
Power Sushi.
Awesome.
That's right. The boot camp got Program of the Year. Dr. Amanda, who's a
Wow.
boot camper, got Chiropractor of the Year, and Dr. Jessie Janorski got Rising Star of the Year, and she's a boot camper as well. So it's been a big year.
Impressive.
So let us know what you're thankful for, and let us celebrate with you. So I'll go first, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tabor about what you're most thankful for. So I'm really thankful today for family. I'm thankful that my mom and dad are already in place in Virginia. They've been sending me pictures all day because we've never been to where our son is getting married. So that's from Moody Bible Institute in Spokane, Washington. So we've gotten to spend some time with her and met her parents, but we haven't been there. So I'm incredibly thankful for family and now growing our family. What are you most thankful for today, Dr. Tabor?
I am thankful to be a chiropractor. I'm very thankful for my family. I have a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful kids, as you said, and I'm thankful that I get to be married to a chiropractor so that we have the same philosophies. We get to adjust our kids. We get to run and practice together and then teach it to other families. And I'm just thankful to be here and thankful to do those types of things every day.
Nice. So let's jump in. As you and I were discussing before we went live, every chiropractor has a list of, let's say, 100 ways that they can grow their practice, whether they're just starting out or they've been in practice for 50 years. And what I find is really missing is, number one, what are you really good at? What do you want to be good at? And then also the how. So, it's almost like new chiropractors especially get a list of, all right, do screenings and join the chamber and do talks. And they're like, okay, I'm out and I'm doing all this. And I love their tenacity, but then they show up and they don't really know what to do at a
Yeah.
screening. So let's
Yep.
go really back to the beginning and let's talk about, why do spinal screenings?
So great question, and you're right. Number one, it has to be about the mindset first, but then you have to have some systems in place to make sure that things actually work for you. And when it comes to screenings, first of all, a screening is exactly what we're saying it, we're literally checking spines. And that's the mindset of the problem is chiropractors are looking at it as a marketing ploy just to get some new patients in, which it is. It's a great marketing tool to get new patients in. But to me, marketing is education. That's it. Marketing is education. And if everybody in my community knew what I know, if I could just teach them, then my practice would be full. Like, that's my mindset, right? And so if I'm setting up a spinal screening, my number one core belief is I am literally checking the spines of the people in my community. And if I detect something, some kind of evidence of subluxation, I'm giving them my best recommendation, which is an exam in my office. Like, there's no sales tactic there, but and it comes off so congruent because this is what I do every single day as I check spines. It's just I'm checking it out here in my community, and I have this tool that helps me. And if I find something, I use the Posture Screen Mobile personally, and I can go into my step-by-step how we do our systems. But I'm just saying that first step is that mindset. You're literally checking spines, and if you find evidence of subluxation, you're recommending an exam in your office. That's what we do.
Right? I love that. So chiropractors, it's no different than what you do every single day.
Every day.
You locate, analyze, and obviously in practice, adjust subluxations. We're not adjusting out in the community. Please, in my opinion, do not do that. You do your best work in your office. So that's where you should be adjusting and doing comprehensive evaluations, is in your office. But locate and analyze vertebral subluxation and let individuals know, no different than screenings for whether it's a dental screening or an eye screening, exactly. Or it's we used to do like the car seat, a car seat screening or a blood pressure screening. Backpack screening, like, all of those are just
a real one. Like, just do a real screening. Nice. Tell the person what you find, recommend, which should be, if you find something evident, you should recommend a further exam in your office. Like, that's just ethical. Like, if you find that there might be a problem, you have the obligation to recommend a further exam in your office. Whether they take that recommendation, that's up to them. You know what I mean? But let's talk about systems. Let me explain. There are 3 stages to a spinal screening. And by the way, guys, like, I've been doing spinal screenings for over 11 years in practice. But then before chiropractic school, I was doing them for chiropractors while I was trying to make money going through chiropractic school. And literally just doing spinal screenings, sometimes 2 or 3 a week. And so we developed this system where it was the greeting, the screening, the scheduling. And those are the 3 steps of a screening: the greeting, the screening, the scheduling. The greeting, depending on what size of screening you do, could be 2 things. So like, now I've been doing so many screenings, I don't do small screenings at little vitamin shops or gyms like I used to. Like, I'll have, if my staff or associate wants to go do that, that's great. I focus mine on big screenings like Home and Garden Show, bridal show, boat show, those types of things, where we actually purchase the booth and we set up this elaborate booth and we do big screenings there because they're most efficient, right? You're going to get 15 to 30 new patients on the weekend while you're screening like that. And so what I do with those big screenings is I actually have either staff or a patient that I've asked to help me. Those are the best, man. It's like, I'll give them free care for a couple months just to come help me at a screening. And they're the greeters. They stay out there in the walkway where people are walking by, and I tell them this. I say, this is our script, but you don't have to stick to it. You can just do your own thing. Tell them about your story in our office. Or if it's my staff, I'll say the same thing. Like, it's a script, but it's more of an outline, right? And it says, and basically we ask them, when was the last time they had their spine checked? The reason we don't say, would you like a spinal screening, like a lot of people docs do, is because nobody knows what a spinal screening is, right? So they're going to be like, how do I know if they want one or not, right? But if you ask them a question like about their past, plus this is good because if you ask them if they want something, it's our social reflex to kind of say no thank you and walk by, right?
Yes.
But if you ask them a question about their past, it's different. If you say, when was the last time you had your spine checked? Then that's a limbic system. It's like we're going into a different area of the brain. You'll see them look off to the right because they're looking for the answer. You know what I mean? And they'll say, I don't even know, or maybe I've never, or maybe they did. Some of them, I went to a neurologist and got an MRI, or something like that. But most of the time, they're going to tell you, I don't know. What is that? And so our greeter is trained to say this: it's a quick analysis that helps us determine the health of your spine. It takes 2 minutes and it's free. And so we've just answered every question they're about to ask you. They're going to ask you, what is it? It's a quick analysis that helps us determine the health of your spine. Then they're going to ask you, how long does it take? And so you're already telling them 2 minutes. Then they're going to ask you, how much does it cost? It's free. So it's a quick analysis that helps us determine the health of your spine. It takes 2 minutes and it's free. And we like motion into our booth. Yes.
Nice. I like it. All
so
right,
that's
perfect.
it. And it's a piece of cake, right? And even if it's a patient that's helping you out, which by the way, if you have never done that, they're absolutely amazing. I always get my sneezers, right? I call them sneezers. Those are the people that just want to tell people about what you do, right? And so they're sitting out there and literally sometimes I don't even have to do the screening. The person's just like, I just talked to this person. You are amazing. I just want to sign up for an exam.
Yes.
Like literally.
Is Sneezers from the Purple Cow?
Yeah, I think it is from Seth Godin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, because he's like, get your people to sneeze all over.
Right, because they just want to tell everybody, then it spreads. It's like gets viral. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. I love that. All right, so
that's the greeting.
Let's back up for just a second. So let's throw out a couple situations, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you've heard everything I know. So I'm just going to throw out the ones that I think are possible.
All right, I'll try.
And I say, as a potential new practice member, oh, my spine's good.
Yeah, well, those are tough. So what you're saying there is, this is the reason I like big venues, because thousands of people are going to come by my booth, and 900 of them are not going to come into my booth, but 100 of them will. Do you see what I mean? So if they're a person that has absolutely no, because we have posters up that have, I usually bring an X-ray view box with X-rays up there, so they know that we're about the spine. And if it's that person that says, my spine is fine, and that they want to get on, I don't waste my time with them. But if they're that person that has you can see there's something that intrigues them about your booth, and they're saying, I think my spine is fine, and then like, really, you say you think, why do you just say you think your spine is fine? Well, because I have this back pain that's hurts in my lower back. Really? Well, I would recommend that you come into our booth and let Dr. Tabor check you out. He's great, and you know what I mean? So it's like there does need to be some kind of interest in your booth, and you'll find that out with your greeting. That's why we ask them, when was the last time you had your spine checked? And if they ignore us and say my spine is fine, then let them go, right? But if they have that little bit of intrigue, then just build a conversation around that. And that's why I tell my greeters, don't just stick to the script. Like, you be yourself and use it as an outline, and you have something to say. You need to give them a script so they're not just like blank, right? But let them be themselves as well, and that works really well.
I love that. And one thing I encourage everyone who does screenings is, when someone says no, or like you catch eyes and they look away, like do something funny. Like, oh, we almost locked eyes. Or, right? Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I have found when you're at, a mall or whatever, and the vendor, like, as soon as you say no to them, it's almost like they're like, flipping you off. It's like, that's never going to generate more business. So just make sure and always feel like they've got spotters around to see how you're reacting to the fact that they walked past you. Mm-hmm. And always give your brand a good name, because maybe you'll meet them at the next screening, or maybe their spouse is trailing right behind,
right,
and you ask their spouse and their spouse is like, heck yeah. I mean, can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if you like flipped him off with your eyes and the spouse comes up and is like, oh, I want to be screened. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're kidding? Like, she just flipped me off or whatever. That would be so embarrassing. So please represent your brand, represent our profession well.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I wanted to say about the person who says, oh, my spine is fine. I like to just like kind of put a little bit of doubt. Like, let me ask you something. If I could show you a way to know for sure, and to know exactly how healthy it is, like, we're kind of doing a test today to see who has the healthiest spine. If yours is fine, can we check out that fine spine?
I love that.
And if they're like a competitive person, they'll be like, I'm in. Where before they weren't interested. So, and not everyone can pull that off. I'm kind of, I guess maybe I've flirted hard or whatever, can strike up a conversation, but but the most important thing is don't take it personally. No just
No.
means not right now. It doesn't mean forever. It doesn't mean you're a terrible person. It doesn't mean you have a booger in your nose. It just means they're saying no, thank you.
Right.
I have to comment on something. So Dr. Amanda Appelblatt and I've coached together for 15 years. She has had a 7-figure year practice for a decade. And if you all notice what she just put down here, it's really critical. She said, I'm even more excited for our screening this Saturday. So here's somebody with $1 million practice. Dr. Adam has his own $1 million practice, and now they're opening another practice. And yet they're still doing the things that are necessary in order to spread the chiropractic message. And like Dr. Tabor said, to screen people, to find out like who's subluxated, come into our office. Are you subluxated? Come into our office. So congratulations, Dr. Amanda and Dr. Adam, for still being out there and still spreading the message and doing those things that you've done all along to grow a big successful practice. Jim Chester says Tabor is a pro. I agree. Absolute pro. All right. So let me throw another one. And if you guys that are watching have a real humdinger, like, some kind of crazy change up that you've heard that you want to hear how the pro Dr. Tabor would handle it, put it in the comment section and we'll see what we can do to help you out. All right. So what about this one? Oh, I know. What if they say, no, I was to my chiropractor yesterday.
Oh, well, then, I mean, I actually say that's great. That's awesome. And if you would like to come in, we can check your spine and we do posture analysis. We'll check your posture and see what it is today. I don't ever take anybody away from their chiropractors. I encourage them to keep going to that chiropractor. And if I can, I'll try to strengthen that. I'd be like, You know what? I would go back to your chiropractor and continue going on because it looks like he's doing a great job and he'll just continue to do a great job as you go. So definitely tell him we got screened today and, maybe increase your frequency if you need to,
Yes. And I like to do like the big, like, give it up, high five. I love that you're going to a chiropractor. Out of curiosity, who is your chiropractor?
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Amanda Appelblatt. Oh my gosh, she's awesome. Congratulations. You really know how to pick them. And like, there's plenty to go around. So you don't need to take them from somebody else's office. All right. So Dan said, what if they say, I don't have any back pain?
Well, so one of the things that I say is most of my families that come into my office don't have back pain. They actually just want to live the best life they could live. And so they come in because they know their spine and nervous system is so important. And we take care of it. We check them every week and we can check your spine and nervous system. It's controlling every function of your body right now. Let's see what the alignment or the posture looks like. Here's one thing I want to add though, because sometimes like there might be that person listening right there and they're like, I'm just not good at these one-liners. You know what I mean? And you don't need to be. In fact, like I just try to answer that person's question with as authentic answer as I possibly have inside me. You know what I mean? Like in that moment, I try to be completely authentic in my answer and realize that the universe has a reason you're there doing the screening, and it might not be that person in front of you, right? But there is another person that will be coming into your booth, I promise you, who was looking for a chiropractor already, who has a major health problem, and who needs your help more than anything anything else. That they're probably on medications, they're probably looking at surgeries, and that the universe has a reason for you to be there. So don't worry about your responses as much as just trying to be authentic with your answers and trying to be there for that person that needs you. That's just what I would say.
I agree. And training makes a big difference. Like I wasn't always good at communication either, but I knew that I had to be in order to be a successful chiropractor and a successful business owner. So guess what? I did what every good entrepreneur does, and I practice and I practice and I drill and I practice and I drill. And something I think is really important is make sure you hear what the person is saying.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, because
that's the hardest part.
We immediately want to throw out all of these bromides, and you're like, power made the body, heals the body, blah, and it's not about you. It's not about pain. It's about function. Blah. And they're like, okay, cowboy, just slow down. I didn't even like go there kind of thing. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're listening and then ask more questions, be interested more than interesting. And if you listen to any of my Facebook lives or my training, you know I'm going to say that over and 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 over again, because it's rude. It's rude when we basically take them as hostage and see how much talking we can do at them. So be interested. Like somebody who says, well, I don't have any back pain. That's awesome. Hey, let me ask you something. If you did, what would you do? Like if you did have pain, how would that interfere with the quality of your life? Why is that something that, you know, like, congratulations, or they'll be like, knock on wood, I don't have any pain. What would you do? Like, how would it interfere with the quality of your life if you did? And then that may be a way to have a conversation with them too. And all of this is, it's not as much about the screening as it is starting the relationship.
Agreed.
Right? The relationship starts and then they come in. Go ahead.
That's one of the reasons I enjoy screenings, actually, is just to getting to interact, because you're going to find that person that you just click with. You know, you're going to get some tough questions, but you're going to find those people who are just darling and they just love you, and you just mesh well with them and they become great patients. In fact, I have patients that still come in weekly. They've been coming in for over 8 years now, and I got them at a screening 8 years ago.
Yeah. I love that. So please focus on the relationship. That's what we do, is we start and grow relationships. And like Tabor just said, that if you cultivate them, they will last a lifetime. And maybe they'll be back with you at your next screening. Who knows?
That's right.
Like that's how they came in. So let me just read a couple of the comments here to make sure that we stay engaged with our audience. So Dr. Anna said, great, yes, great information. Thank you. And thanks for being here. So Meredy said, if someone tells me they don't have back pain, I say, great. It's the perfect time to get checked. Just like when a dentist catches a cavity before it hurts during a checkup, we need to catch spinal issues before they hurt. If you wait till you have a killer toothache, you'll need much more care and you may lose your tooth, and you certainly can't lose your spine.
That's really good.
That's a really good analogy. You know, I encourage all of us to break that up. So break that kind of thing up into questions so that they're still engaged. Like, oh, that's interesting. Let me ask you something. I can see you brush your teeth every day. Is it possible that a screening, like getting checked right now, would kind of be like checking to make sure you don't have like spinal halitosis, PU? And if you did, would you want someone to tell you like your spine stings, or would you want to just keep rolling? You know, like, again, be interested more than you're interesting. And that's a great analogy. And Meredy, that's a great one too. Like I liked having props in my office. And so like a toothbrush up on your whiteboard or a toothbrush around the office, and to ask your practice members, like, all right, you're a crazy chiropractor, why do I have a toothbrush? And let them fill in the blanks. Like, you know, as a member of my practice, or based on what you've learned here, what's the connection between a toothbrush and your chiropractic adjustments? All right. So one more, Tabor. Sure. Let's say they say something like, oh, I had spinal surgery.
Yes. So I would ask them about the surgery. Where'd you have it? You know, find out a little bit more about what type of surgery, because a lot of times people are interested in talking about themselves, right? And especially if they've had the surgery and they want to tell you they've had the surgery, then ask them about it. And then and sometimes I'll ask them, what are you doing to keep the rest of the spine healthy so that you don't have to have surgery on it? You know, and get into that conversation there, and then recommend, well, let's just do a checkup to see what's going on there. Would you like me to check and see your posture, what it looks like right now? So
nice. Would you like me to check the rest of your spine where you didn't have surgery?
And sometimes I encourage them that we have a lot of people who've had spinal surgeries and even hardware in their spine in our office right now, and they're having great results and they're getting great health because of it. You know, so make sure they know I can treat that even though they've had surgery.
Yes, you could say, you know what, you can be the next the next member of our spinal surgery club. There are all kinds of people in my office who've had spinal surgery. Come on in. we welcome you, right?
That's right.
All right. So the next step. So that's the greeting, right? Then let's move to the next part. So now I've walked into your booth.
Yep.
And now what happens?
Okay, so once the person agrees to the screening, the greeter brings them into the booth, grabs a clipboard, and says, "Dr. Tabor, you'll be next to see Dr. Tabor. If you'll just fill out this quick stress survey for us, we'll get you right in." And so we don't have them. This is important. You don't want to have your greeters holding clipboards, because that's usually where people want to avoid you if you're holding a clipboard. Yes. So have the clipboard on the table, and then when the greeter brings them in, they say, "You're actually next up. If you'll just fill out this quick stress survey for Dr. Tabor, he'll see you next." And then on the stress survey, my stress surveys are very, very fast. Like, all I want to know is their name, any symptoms that they have, and then we collect their email just for follow-up, and so we can nurture that sequence later on. But I want to know their name and their symptom. And of course, we're not all about symptoms, but if you can, here's the key to a spinal screening. Like, literally, if this is the only thing I give everybody, this will increase your conversions at a spinal screening more than anything else. And it is this: if you can tie a symptom they're having into what you find in your screening, and then just let them know there is definitely a correlation there. Like, that is huge. That is huge.
Yes.
So when I get the stress survey back, I say, "Mary, I see you're having headaches and neck pain. How long have you been having those?" Or I ask them something about it, because I don't want them sitting there talking to me and telling me a giant story for a long time, especially if we're busy. But I want them to know I know what they wrote on the screening. And pretty much no matter what they say, I'm gonna go, "Really? Well, I'm really interested in what we find on this screening today," because I want them to start thinking, "Oh, he's looking for something that might be causing my symptom," right? And then I use the Posture Screen Mobile, which is Joe Ferrantelli's app, which is really cool. And we take pictures of them, and then we mark data points on there. And then I can say, "Mary, we see a half-inch high shoulder on your right. That's putting irritation and pressure, could possibly be," I don't ever say something for sure because we're not in an exam. I say that could possibly be putting stress, pressure, and irritation on the nerves right where you're having that pain, causing your headaches. I definitely see reasons to recommend a further exam in my office. And then I would go into, would you be interested in finding out more about what could be causing this issue? And if she says yes, then I tell them what an exam consists of. I tell them that we're normally we do $117 for my exams now. I think back in the day I did $20 at a screening, but in the big screening, sometimes I kind of want to narrow people down. So we say normally it's a $297 exam. Today it's only $117 if you schedule here. Would that be something you're interested in? And then I just be quiet. And then I just let them say yes or no, or tell me what they're thinking. And some people say no, and you have to be willing to hear the no's, right? But a lot of people will say yes. And all you have to do at that point is take them over to the scheduler. So there's 3 steps, which is the greeting, the screening, and then the scheduler.
So Jim Chester said, "Tabor, let's do a screening together."
Let's do it.
Rock on.
Yeah, right on.
That will be huge for sure. So do you take as like a supply a Merrick chart? Like, I think I'm pretty much addicted to Merrick charts for sure, because everyone can see them. Does that app show like, hey, like, you're showing weakness here. You're definitely showing signs of subluxation from what I can tell so far. We need further investigation to determine severity and complexity. But right now, here's what I do know. The nerves that come out of this area of the spine, they're this nerve root level, which innervate these tissues. And these are the common symptoms. So let me ask you something. Which of these symptoms are true for you?
Right.
And it's like
absolutely.
the magic ball, right?
Yeah, because it, like I said, we're not all about symptoms, but that's a huge motivational factor for that person, and if they feel like you could be of value helping them with that symptom, it's going to get them in your door a lot faster. I'm all about educating about wellness, but it's gonna help them to get into your office. So if we have more motivational ways to get them in using symptoms, I'm totally okay with that.
Absolutely. You have to meet people where they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for instance, if I've just blown my tire and you come up to me and want to wash my car, and be like, "Dude,
you need a clean car."
Right now, tire's blown. I can't go anywhere.
I
Clean or not,
I like that.
I want my tire fixed, right?
Yes,
That was just like off the cuff, Tabor.
that's good.
Now, every time you wash your car, I hope you guys think of me. Make sure you don't have a blown tire
Yes,
when you're going
exactly.
to wash your car. All right, so let me ask you this: do you recommend that there are basically three different people? There's
At my big
the
screening, yes. At the big
traffic
screening,
floor person, the
if you're
greeter,
gonna
and then the
have
doctor.
if you're gonna have like a lot of our foot traffic is about 1,000 people a day will go through some of these big venues in Houston. So there might not be that big of a place, if you're in a small town. But I would say if you're gonna have, 500 plus people come through, you need at least two people. Sometimes the doctor can do the scheduling. And by the way, I've done them all. You could do the group. You could be the greeter, the screener, and the scheduler. But you still know there's three steps. There's three steps to
Yeah.
that screening. Am I breaking up at all?
You did just for a second, but it's all good.
Okay. All right. Cool.
It's all
Yeah.
good now.
So yes, I like to have three different people, but I at big screenings I have at least two.
Okay. And listen, all of you, please don't hesitate to ask your practice members.
Yeah.
And they, like when I was just at Karasushi, there were 36 boot campers. And they all loved sharing what their experiences in the boot camp and about the tribe. And your practice members love you too, each and every one of you. So
Yep.
please, please, please invite them, because you know what else it says? It's kind of like maybe this is different for guys, but as women, if I have, let's say I have a dinner party and I invite, like several couples, and let's say I'm particularly close with you and Gina, and Gina's like, "Hey Barb, do you want some help?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Can you da 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 da?" What that does is it communicates a level of trust that I trust you, Gina, to help me in the kitchen to prepare this meal or serve this meal or whatever it is. And let's say other people said, "Do you want my help?" I'm like, "Oh, no, it's okay. Gina and I have it." It's the same kind of thing when you ask your practice members for help. It says to them, I value you. You are of worth to me. I trust you. So if you haven't done it, please trust me
Yep.
and know that they will be delighted that you have asked them. Okay, so let's go to now the person who you've done the screening, you've made the connection. Oh, I know. I want to go back for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So we're inviting them to come in for a spinal screening.
For
Then
an exam. You come in the booth. Gotcha.
Yeah, come in the booth for a spinal exam, right? Then a couple things, if you guys didn't pick up on it, that I really like that Tabor said is you're next in line. Fill this out real quick, and then Dr. Tabor will be right with you. So it lets them know time frame, like, oh, cool, I'm the next one.
Yep.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. So how do we go from exam to stress survey?
So we go from stress
in the
survey.
mind of a practice, like a potential practice member, like he asked me for an exam and now I'm talking about stress.
Right. No, we go from a stress survey to the exam. And the stress survey is basically a survey to determine what symptoms you have. And so we correlate stress with symptoms. Symptom is very stressful on you, right? So they would actually do the stress survey first. And the stress survey simply, I wish I had one with me here, I would go over it, but it basically just asks for their name. It asks them where they would rate their stress on 0 to 10. And then it says, check any symptoms you might have, and it has a big old list of symptoms, and they would just check all of them off, right?
Okay.
And so then I have that report. When they come up to me, they give me that survey, and I'm able to see here, I see you do have a lot of stress in your life, and it's causing pain in your neck. You're having this, and this, and this. How long have you been having these? I like to ask them that question, because then I get a severity of it. If they say, oh, just started this morning, you know what I mean? That's one thing. But if they say, I've had it for 5 years, it's terrible, it's getting worse, and all these things, then I'm using that as I communicate with them based on what I find in my screening as well.
Awesome. So I just looked at what time it is. Eek! I didn't realize it's already 4:30, so we'll have to pick this up. But here's what I'd like all of you to do who are watching now and will catch this later. Let us know your spinal screening questions. really and truly, Dr. Tabor and I want to help you, whether it's a screening that you do at a mall, or maybe it's a screening you do at your office, or it's a screening that you do at some other kind of event. If you'll allow us to, we'll help you. We'll help you get better at it, as well then be able to help individuals who otherwise wouldn't know about chiropractic care or wouldn't know that they're subluxated. So here's what I'd like you to do. We don't know everybody that you know. So be a good steward and share this. Give other chiropractors, especially new doctors and students, the opportunity to watch this live broadcast. And then what I'll do is Myra will get with, Myra is my VA, we'll get with Tabor's VA. And I promise we'll do at least a part 2, maybe a part 3, maybe a part 4, depending on your questions and whatnot. But we want to help you. If you haven't had a chat with me yet about the boot camp, I just got to tell you, you're missing out. You get to have great coaches like Dr. Tabor, myself. Dr. David Fletcher is one of the mentors. Roberto Monaco, Dr. Lyle Kosha, Dr. Matthew Norton, Dr. Matthew Loop, Dan McCoy. I mean, it is an all-star team, and we're all 100% committed to helping you grow and exceed your expectations of what's possible. Even yet, we're in July, but there's still lots of 2018 left to make this your best year ever. If you'll allow us to, we'll help you. Yeah. So, Dr. Tabor, thank you so much. Any last minute words that you want to say to everybody?
Just that right now in the summer is a great time to be doing screenings because people are getting outside, they're going to events, and you've probably heard of the dog days of summer. If you're out inside your community doing screenings, you're not going to have the dog days of summer like a lot of businesses do. The other thing that I will leave you with is, for me, if I can see the big picture of what a screening is, and I can break it up into an outline in my head, like the greeting, here's the script for the greeting, the screening, here's what I do during the screening, the scheduling, here's what I do during the scheduling, then it makes the event go so much smoother. I have less stress. And when I started seeing each step by step, and people coming through from step 1 to step 3, then signups begin to happen better. That's that system that we get into place, and then we can just roll people through, and the new patients start to stack up on the other end.
And so real quick, Tabor, if individuals want to get in touch with you and talk about screenings and the spinal hygiene kits that you have, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So I'll give you my personal email. It's drtabor@live.com. That's drtabor@live.com.
Dr. Tabor@live.com. It just doesn't get any easier than that. Reach out to him. Dr. Tabor@live.com. So don't say we didn't try and help you. We're doing what we can, and we'll see you all. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you,
guys. Thanks for being on.
Dr. Tabor will be on again for a part 2 real soon.
Awesome.
All right. See ya. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.